Good evening, everyone. I welcome everyone in the gallery, and I need to advise that it is council policy to record the proceedings of meetings of council on digital media to assist in the preparation of minutes and to ensure that a true and accurate account of the debate and discussion of meetings is available. This audio recording is authorised by the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulations 2015, and we open the meeting at 6:03. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Tomagina people, and to pay our respect to those that have passed before us, their history and their culture. Item 1, record of attendance. We have no apologies or leave of absence previously approved. Item 2, confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the Waratah Wynyard Council held at Council Chambers on Monday 15th April 2024, a copy of which has been circulated previously to councillors prior to the meeting, be confirmed as a true and correct record. Could I have a mover for this particular motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Bramage.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts, seconded. Any corrections to the minutes are to be identified and agreed at this point prior to taking a vote on the minutes. Are there any corrections or amendments identified by the councillors, please? Nothing? Okay. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 3, declarations of interest. Councillor and agenda item, are there any declarations of interest or staff?
Through you, Mayor, 10.2.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. Item 4, councillors' announcements and report. I have no announcements this evening. The Mayor's communications 4.2, there is a recommendation that council note my communications. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts.
Second that.
Councillor Bramage. Are there any questions from the councillors about my communications? Nothing at this stage. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Reports by delegates, none have been received. Item 4.4, notification of council workshops. There is a recommendation before you that council note the following workshops. There are 2 workshops there noted. Could I have a mover for that motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Johnson, could I have a seconder?
Yeah, seconded.
Councillor Highland. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. We move on to item 5, public questions and statements. 5.1, the public questions listed in the agenda are from the previous meeting. 5.1.1, Mr. Hutchison regarding childcare, and the list of questions are notated and the officer's response. 5.2, public questions received in writing from Mr. Powell, Waratah Rail Bridge. He's posed 2 questions and the officers have provided a response. Public questions without notice. Before we move into this area, I need to advise that the council encourages community participation in its meetings through the opportunity for public questions and statements. Consistent with council's core values, councillors and staff strive to ensure all people are treated with respect and integrity. We expect our residents and ratepayers to apply similar standards in their dealings with council. As Mayor, it is my responsibility to maintain the orderly conduct of council meetings and to determine whether a question or statement is out of order due to the use of offensive, objectionable or defamatory expressions. I would like everyone to note that a maximum of 3 questions may be asked per person. Any parts to questions are considered questions or questions to be asked before a response is provided. There is a time limit of 3 minutes per person to ask questions. Once a question is answered, there is to be no debate on that question. Public statements are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per person. There is to be no questions or discussions related to a statement. I ask members of the public to show proper consideration and courtesy in their comments. Jean Medwin, you have a statement to make. Would you like to come forward, please?
That might be better. My name is Jean Medwin. My wife Lane and I are here this evening to lobby the councillors to have the decision of the recent dog attack at Belton Street reviewed based on the following points. We understand that the General Manager has the authority to exercise discretion when determining the outcome of any such incident. However, Magistrate McTaggart, in her decision in the Tasmanian Magistrates Court ruling for Stewart v Heath 2012, notes that the intention of the legislation is to give very significant weight in the discretion to the fact of the dog having caused the injury, i.e. would need to be very exceptional circumstances not to declare any dog having committed an attack to be a dangerous dog. However, also in line with the authorities, other matters can be taken into account. In a case where a dog has caused injury, such matters as follows will be relevant: the nature of the attack causing the injury, the nature of the injury, the reasons for the attack, for example, provocation, the nature and frequency of previous attacks, the general disposition of the dog, the degree of responsibility taken by the owner, the likelihood of any further attack. Based on the facts of the incident, which we assume have not been disputed by any party, we find it alarming that this discretion has been applied. Reviewing in further detail based on prior court rulings, the nature of the attack was unprovoked and a targeted attack. The nature of the injury was serious, with lacerations requiring 15 stitches with scarring that will remain indefinitely. The reason for the attack, there was no reason, not provoked. However, precedents set by previous dog attacks at Mount Hicks in 2016 would still not trigger this discretion. The nature and frequency of previous attacks, I would have thought, isn't one enough. The general one enough if it's this severe. The general disposition of the dog, based on the 50 signatures within the petition, it is that you'll see item 6.1. It is clear that the general disposition of this dog is not warm and welcoming. The fact is that residents are scared to walk past the yard due to the aggressive demeanour. The degree of responsibility taken by the owner. As the owners have not notified the council on 2 known attacks as required under section 19.5 of the Dog Control Act, and have at no point contacted us to check on the welfare of our son and my wife, it is fair to say that they have taken limited responsibility. The likelihood of any further attack. We believe it would be high if the dog is not being monitored by dangerous dog controls put in place, for example, muzzled and walked on a lead. The owners are free to move to another property and fencing will not be monitored by council. Whilst we do not have access to council records on similar incidents, we are aware of multiple attacks of a less serious nature, primarily dog versus dog, resulting in dangerous dog classifications, and request councillors conduct a review of past incidents and determine if the outcome set a precedence for this attack. As a starting point, we are aware of a staffy named Yogi which caused an injury to a dog and its owner on Jackson Street approximately 18 months ago. The dog was seized immediately and declared a dangerous dog. Given this incident was investigated by the same dog control officer and the decision was enforced by the same general manager, this would establish a precedence. One final note to conclude: given this is now on the public record, it could be argued that council would be liable for any future incidents involving this dog. We understand council do not want to go through the legal proceedings if the owners were to challenge a dangerous dog classification. However, I think we can all agree that when dealing with community safety, it is best to err on the side of caution. If council were to be challenged at court and lost, then they would have done all they could and absolve themselves of that future liability. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Medwin. Mr. Summers, would you wish to? No. Gay West, coming forward, please.
Hi, I'm here to talk about the Hill Court subdivision, which we all live on. As the council signed off on and collects rates for the Hillcourt subdivision, which is a significant fire risk due to the bush area right behind it, are they responsible for the maintenance of this area? We've made an effort to contact the council and the Crown, but everyone is passing the buck backwards and forwards to the other organisation. Can something please be done by someone who has some authority?
Thank you for your questions. Mr Summers.
Through you, Mayor, I'm familiar with that area. There's actually a 20 metre wide reserved road in Crown ownership. I believe Ms West and others have made multiple inquiries to Council and Crown about that, so it's probably best if I follow up with Ms West afterwards. As it stands, Crown is the land holder, but I don't believe they've committed to any vegetation management, so happy to catch up with Ms West and discuss what the other options are. So.
Thank you.
That'd be great, thank you.
As there are no more questions, we'll move on to item 6, being petitions, deputations and presentations, 6.1 and 6.1.1, petition dangerous dog declaration. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, that the council receive and note the petition requesting declaration of a dangerous dog. Could I have a mover for that particular motion, please?
So moved.
Councillor Roberts, could I have a seconder, please?
Second.
Councillor Johnson. Councillor Roberts, would you like to open the debate, please?
Look, I just quickly want to state that I don't speak on behalf of the General Manager of this council or the operations of this council. Not my business in that sense. It's not my job to tell operations of this council how to operate. But I absolutely feel for you guys, absolutely. And you've spoken incredibly well, Mr Medwin, and I absolutely definitely feel for yous, and absolutely whatever the outcome is of this, I hope that in good faith that council would assess this and have a good look at it. And we do really understand that the people are the most important thing of our municipal region, and especially the future of our region as well. And we understand the importance that families feel safe in our communities. And again, while I cannot say how to operate this organisation, I will say that as a councillor of this organisation, I absolutely feel for you guys, and is absolutely, if you'd like to, you know, present this in that way, and absolutely got no problem with that, and absolutely I respect that you'll fight for your family and your children, and I respect it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? Councillor Courtney.
Just a quick question. It has been declared a dangerous dog as per the motion? It's not been declared a dangerous dog? Is it because of the single incident that's on record?
Through you, Mayor, I take it that's one of the reasons that came to that, or that contributed to the decision to date.
Because it's a single incident that we have record of?
Through you, Mayor, I believe so.
Okay, thank you. Just needed to know.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Councillor Johnson.
I'm just wondering, is there anything I can do as in putting a motion forward that we can workshop this a little bit further? I think it does need discussing the whys and why nots. Is there anything that we can do as in a motion that I can put forward to do that, to workshop that on another night that's free on our workshop nights?
Through you, Mayor, that's certainly a possibility councillors can undertake, perhaps for the sake of the authors of the petition. It might be best to note it for tonight, though, so that it doesn't remain unaddressed. Certainly workshop discussions and the like can occur beyond that. So.
Councillor Johnson, are you satisfied with that answer? You would.
Yes, that's fine. Yep, we
Okay,
can
thank
workshop
you.
it.
Are there any further comments, if those that have not spoken? No further comments. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 7, our Planning Authority items. We move into the Planning Authority part of our meeting at 6:19. 7.1, public questions without notice relating to planning matters. We have none, and public statements. We have not been provided with any. 7.3, multiple dwellings, additional dwelling, transportable home at 541 Calder Road, Calder. The recommendation is that Council, in accordance with Section 51 and Section 57 of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993 and the Tasmanian Planning Scheme, Waratah Wynyard, refuse an application for multiple dwellings, additional dwelling, transportable home at 541 Calder Road, Calder, on the following grounds. And there are 2 sections that provide information as to why that decision has been recommended. Could I have a mover for this particular motion, please?
As per the recommendation.
Councillor Hyland moved, seconded.
I'll second that.
Councillor Bramich. Councillor Hyland, would you like to open the debate, please?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Look, this is one of those problem blocks which it's a small block and it's probably in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's in amongst prime agricultural land. And one of the biggest issues we've had over a lot of years is the fact that houses are put too close to boundary fences, and it causes a lot of grief with the neighbouring farmers when they attempt to irrigate late at night or spray or whatever they want to do. And the people still insist on wanting to put an extra house on a small block, which is just not possible. It doesn't meet any of the criteria. But as sad as it is, that's the situation.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Are there any speakers against the motion? Councillor Bramich, you wish to speak?
Yeah, I'm going to speak for the motion. I guess no one probably likes seeing things get knocked back any more than me. But I guess the opportunity was given to them to move the development and it wasn't taken. So look, I'm more than happy with the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Bramich. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Item 8, matters raised by councillors, responses to councillor questions, none received, no questions received in writing, councillor questions without notice. Councillor Bramich.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I'm just wondering whether council officers could investigate when or if the toilets at the Frosty River may be upgraded, whether there's an option there, maybe in this budget, I don't know, probably not, might be 10 years' time. And I will be putting a notice of motion up for the next council meeting that we contact the state government, the state growth, and we'll get them relocated down to the Waratah junction where we turn off. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bramich. Are there any further questions without notice? Councillor Johnson.
I'd like to excuse me, put in a motion regarding that we workshop about the dog matter and look into the policies.
Could I just stop you there? This
Yes.
is councillor questions without notice. If you can just sort of rejig your wording, make it a question.
Is it possible to honour a workshop on a Monday night for or say about the dog matter?
I would suggest that that would be appropriate, Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor.
Are there any further questions without notice? Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick question. I know I did get a call from a resident in Waratah that asked council about cleaning up the cenotaph for Anzac Day, and I believe they told me that they were informed that that is actually Parks and Wildlife land, although I would like us as council to just have a quick look to see if that is our land or not, so which would enable us to actually clean that cenotaph. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Mr Summers, do you have any information regarding the ownership of that particular land?
Through you, Mayor, not at my fingertips, so we'll take that on notice.
Thank you, Mr Summers. So, moving on to notices of motion, I'm going to ask the Deputy Mayor to take my seat for a couple of these motions.
I didn't read it. I didn't. Sorry. Okay. So the first motion, that council investigate the establishment of cat prohibited areas within designated sensitive habitats of native birds and animals as a positive step to protect and preserve our wildlife. Mayor Dunyan, would you like to open the debate?
Yes, thank you, I would.
Yeah, sorry. We'll have a...
If someone has to
read it out
yep.
first.
I move the motion. Could I? You need a seconder now.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yep.
Acting Chair.
Yep, you can now open the debate.
Thank you. My concerns have been raised by several people in the past few months, particularly at Sisters Beach, where both feral and domestic cats are proving to be quite a problem at Sisters Beach in attacking wildlife. Let's face it, all cats are predatory, so that's their natural way to be. And the residents at Sisters Beach they've actually videoed them at night of the cats coming in and attacking some of the wildlife. And of course Sisters Beach abuts the National Park. The other issue that we have is at Fossil Bluff. And I was speaking with a resident last week who said that Parks and Wildlife had contacted all residents of Fossil Bluff, advising that any cats that are found in this Indigenous heritage area will be captured and more than likely euthanased. So there are situations in our small community really that we need to look at in terms of protecting our little penguins, our hooded plovers, the bandicoots, all of those animals that are out there that a lot of these predatory cats do enjoy trying to catch. I did a bit of research from the Kingborough Council. They have got significant areas, including Bruny Island. The total island must, they don't prohibit cats, but they must be contained. And if they're not, they will be euthanased. So we do need to understand that we have wildlife that we need to protect. Cat management, I do understand that some years ago it was proposed by the state government that cat management become a role of councils. It isn't that it has died, but there are no resources provided for councils to undertake this management. My motion is to investigate the establishment of these cat prohibited areas and work out the best ways that we can control these cats that have been allowed to roam. So I'll leave it in your hands.
Councillor Bramage.
Thank you. I'm going to support the motion. I'd like to take it a couple of steps further. I'm pleased Parks and Wildlife was brought up. Some years ago we approved a subdivision out at Caitlin Drive, and the condition that was put on that subdivision by Parks and Wildlife was no cats. And as far as I know, it's written on the titles. No one has policed it. Parks and Wildlife again, got no money, got no staff. So, look, I understand where Mayor Dunyam's coming from. Cats jumping the fence and going into the neighbours' places, scratching around, and then the poor people going out the next day weeding the garden and bloody cat poo. It's disgraceful. It is. In this day and age, it shouldn't happen. And look, I totally support the motion, and well, I think we should investigate, as I say, and get on to Parks and Wildlife and see where they stand on it. Because if they threaten and euthanasian over at Foster's Bluff, they can do it in the rest of the place. Thank you.
Any other speakers? Councillor Courtney?
I'm happy to support prohibited areas that are wildlife areas. I'm not happy to support any prohibition of cat ownership. I don't think that's reasonable to be able to say to residents, you can't have a cat. I think it's reasonable to say if you have a cat, it has to be contained, but I would prefer prohibited areas and not home ownership and people who are allowed to have cats.
Councillor Raw?
Yeah, I'd like to just talk in support of the motion. I think it's a good stepped way of moving into making sure that all people that live within our municipality have their cats contained, particularly at night. I think by choosing designated areas that have wildlife around national parks and the penguin rookeries and things like that would be a good starting point to trial how that goes and work on that.
Yeah, certainly speaking in support of the motion, and it's obviously a job for 8 councils, I believe, and put a fair bit of pressure back on the government. And all the councils, pretty much all the councils have coastal boundaries, so most of them would have penguins and the like. So I think it's definitely got to be a motion to go to Cradle Coast Authority and push it as hard as they can as a group.
Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Look, I just want to credit our Mayor here. I think this is excellent leadership, I really do. This is something that our council has discussed on several occasions, and while at times people might think the council isn't doing anything, there's a process to make things happen, and councillors do have it at the forefront of their mind about how to make our region a better place. I really would like to credit both Kerry Shagog and Yana Holder from Sisters Beach that have been real big advocates about protecting the natural reserve down there and looking out for their fellow residents at Sisters Beach. And I really do want to credit our Mayor for getting the ball rolling on this, and hopefully we can get some answers soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Mayor Dunyam, would you like to... Councillor Bramage, did you have a question?
I know I spoke, but I've got a question.
Sorry, a
If I
question?
may.
You can ask a question.
Big one?
You can ask a question.
Yeah, got a question. Mayor Dunyam, I'll put this to you. Is it appropriate that we go to the Cradle Coast Authority too with our concerns, and they can probably get some of the other councillors on board? Is that appropriate or not? I'll take your lead on that.
I will take it on notice, but Cradle Coast Authority already has been participating in terms they have had a cat containment officer, and they did for some time, and I think that the funding was pulled back by the state government at the time, and so it hasn't really gone as far as it could. I'd just like to note that my final paragraph here says this proposal is not a ban on domestic cat ownership, but to encourage responsible cat ownership and an endeavour to protect our fragile wildlife from the predatory prowling of these non-contained domestic cats. So we are not wanting a ban on any domestic cat, but they must be contained and looked after appropriately. Thank you.
With everybody spoken, I will put the motion. Everybody in favour, please say aye. Motion is carried. Second motion. That council investigate the establishment of a memorandum of understanding between the Waratah Wynyard Council and the Sarah Group, Safer Australian Roads and Highways. And we need a mover for that.
Yes, I'll move that. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
And a seconder.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. You can debate. You can open the debate.
Yes, Mr. Fraser, Peter Fraser, OAM, his 23-year-old daughter Sarah was killed by a distracted truck driver in 2012, in a completely avoidable road crash on the Hume Highway in regional New South Wales. As a result of that, Mr. Fraser established the National Road Safety Week the following year, and that Road Safety Week continues, and I do understand that my motion is probably a little bit late for National Road Safety Week. However, I do believe that road safety is every person's responsibility every single day. So the fact that we could possibly, or that we establish a memorandum of understanding with the Sarah Group, I think is a way of showing our community that we care about road safety on every single road within our municipality.
Do we have any speakers? Councillor Roberts.
Again, I think this shows excellent leadership from our Mayor to put this forward. Absolutely, it's something that affects us all around here in the regional area, and we've all had our own experiences with this. And so I think as well and beyond is the infrastructure, where they do lobby for a commitment to renewing poor infrastructure, of which we have plenty in our region. And so I think it's a wonderful initiative, and I think it's a worthy cause for council to get behind and really have an MOU with this group and really push this for the safety and betterment of everyone in our region. So thank you.
Councillor Bramage.
Well, I'm going to be very brief. I'm certainly going to be the last person to argue about road safety.
Any other speakers? Okay. I'm going to read something out. Okay. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge and say thank you to all the first responders. By them going to an accident, they don't know what they will be presented with when they arrive at a scene, and the realisation or imprint they will leave with. I would also like to bring awareness to the SES. 22nd of May is WOW Day, meaning it is Wear Orange Wednesday Day, which is this coming Wednesday. It's a national day of thanks, and especially for our Tasmanian State Emergency Service volunteers who give their time and support in their community during flood and storm responses, road crash rescues and beyond. Thank you for your time and dedication to our community. Thank you, Mayor Dunyam, for bringing this motion tonight, and if this motion is passed, as a community leader, I look forward to the outcome of the possibilities of this memorandum of understanding between the Waratah Wynyard Council and the Sarah Group, Safer Australian Roads and Highways, coming to fruition. I take off my community leader hat and put on my parent hat, speaking as someone who lives in this community and living a real life experience. This will always be raw, real and sensitive to me. To those that don't know, I am a heartbroken parent whose daughter was one of the 36 beautiful people who lost their lives from motor vehicle accidents last year in 2023. Also in 2023, there was over 300 people seriously injured. This does not just fall to the physicalness of the accidents. When you look beyond the physical, you see the ripple effect road accidents cause. The ripples continue across first responders, emergency departments, families, friends and communities. These are not just an accident. These are real people, and our people matter to us. There will still be accidents, but if we can bring more awareness to improve road safety through the SARA program, from policy development, community education, advocacy, and collaboration with community and government organisations, the impact could see a reduction in lives lost. Accidents leave an imprint on the people involved in the accidents, to the first responders, witnesses, family and beyond, in ways of flashbacks, to reliving the events through their senses of touch, taste, sight, smell and hearing, through dreams, nightmares and trauma, guilt and survivor's guilt, reliving events over and over and over. Changed circumstances, changed lives, the silence of the empty chair forever. So if we can improve road safety and awareness, and as quoted from Mr. Fraser, we will all have a responsibility to drive so others survive. We can all then do our part. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Aye. Motion's passed.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Edwards. We move on to item 10, reports of officers and committees. 10.1, draft Somerset Sports Precinct Master Plan for public consultation. The recommendation, councillors, is that council approve the release of the draft Somerset Sports Precinct Master Plan for public consultation and feedback. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor Courtney, could I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Councillor Johnson. Councillor Courtney, would you like to open the debate, please?
I'd actually just like to thank the council officers quickly, because I think a number of these sporting precinct plans have been around since Dylan and Councillor Roberts and I were employees here. So it's great that we're bringing them to the table and we're taking them out to the community to actually move them forward. I also note that I have requested that we do our next community conversation in Somerset, so that the Somerset community can come and have a look at this draft precinct and we can get some feedback. So I encourage people from Somerset to please come along, have a look at the draft for the public consultation for the Somerset precinct, sporting precinct, because this is of benefit to the residents' mental health, it's of benefit to the residents' physical health, it's of benefit to the community because it brings people together. I think that working in the areas of sports is really, really good for preventative health in our area. So it's great that we're putting this effort into our master plans, our sporting precincts, and that we're actually moving forward on these now. So thank you very much to the officers, and I hope that the Somerset community come along and actually do, give feedback on this consultation process.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any speakers against this motion? Speakers for, Councillor Hyland.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, there's been obviously a lot of work gone into this project over a couple of years, along with councillors and staff and all the sporting clubs in Somerset that are involved in this. It has an estimated cost of over $27 million. Council's contribution will be about 5.6, and the remainder made up by federal and state and anywhere else we can get a grant from. So it's a huge project. It'll be upgrading the Langley Park Oval, extra basketball stadium and the movement of that, and the tennis courts up towards the primary school. So it's a huge project to take on, and it's nothing new to our council. We've done quite a few over the last number of years, so we're just continuing on with the good work we do in the community. So, yeah, I'll pass this motion and ask you to support it.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Further speakers? Councillor Raw.
Yeah, look, I'd just like to say that the plan's developed well over time with much consultation with the community, particularly those organisations that it has direct impact upon. And I agree with Councillor Courtney in suggesting that we talk about it at a Somerset community session or community meeting. so that any interested person in the community can come and talk to us about the master plan. So in line with that, I'd suggest that it's dated early and advertised with at least 3 to 4 weeks before the event to allow for maximum attendance, because it'll be a big thing for the Somerset community to come along with this incredible development. And maybe the advertising of the event and putting the plan out there should be through our social media, the website, but also maybe even a letterbox drop if that is within budget restraints, just to make sure that the funding that's being spent on this is meeting community need.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Councillor Roberts.
Well, just a couple of things real quickly. One is I want to follow up on what Councillor Hyland said. I think one of the things that's overlooked here at Council is how the amazing job that our staff do. If people look into the numbers for stuff like the All Abilities Playground at Somerset, the Foreshore Playground, the Sports Precinct in Wynyard, the Boat Harbour Beach Master Plan, they'd actually note that it's a very small amount of money that actually comes from ratepayers. It's the innovation that we have, it's the projects, it's the design of the projects, and everything that our staff does in the application for grants is of the highest quality. And our council actually brings in millions and millions of dollars for these infrastructure projects every single year that we wouldn't be able to procure otherwise. And I think you'll see in our communities the standard of our facilities and the standard of our public recreational areas are of the highest calibre, and anything that isn't is definitely in our future plans. It's something that has been discussed around this table. Now, also, I just secondly want to credit the work that Councillor Johnston has done here, and also the work that Deputy Mayor Edwards has done as the representatives of the Somerset Sporting Precinct Group. The information that's been brought back to Council, we're all in the loop on this, and we're all unified in this, and we want to deliver the best outcomes for every town in our region, and Somerset included. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Johnson.
I'm speaking for the motion, and like to piggyback on Councillor Raw and Councillor Courtney. The community consultation, we need you guys at the consultation. We have many community consultations, but yet we have fewer people turn up on these consultations. We need your voice and your needs and what you do need. And obviously what you don't want, and we don't hear from you, we don't know what to do for you guys. So please come to these community consultations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Are there any further speakers to this motion, please? If there are no further speakers, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 10.2, Fossil Bluff and Surrounding Trails Master Plan Feasibility Review for the provision of a public toilet. The recommendation is that Council note the contents of the attached feasibility review report and determine not to provide a public toilet at the Fossil Bluff Reserve at this time. Could I have a mover for this motion, please? Councillor Courtney, could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Deputy Mayor Edwards, seconded. Councillor Courtney, would you like to open the debate, please?
I think this is a good decision. I mean, the council officers have explained to us why we looked at it and why this is advised against at this stage. Obviously, the amount of money that you need to build a public toilet and the amount of money that you need to look after that asset is not the best investment at the moment for the purposes of a toilet that is essentially for tourism, when we've got to tighten our belts and try and keep our rates down. So to try and build new assets and then account for that asset maintenance for a facility that we're not in dire need of at the moment, I think this is a good decision. Thank you, staff.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any further speakers? Any speakers against the motion? Speakers for? Councillor Hyland.
Yeah, not against the motion, for it. Yeah, it's just in regard to the toilet. Now we do have an option at the bridge picnic area, Table Cape Bridge, and when we did the first bit of consultation, there was there was a bit of a outcry for having toilets there because of tourist buses. Now, if you watch what happens with tourist buses, and quite often, they pull up out at, the coach drivers know where the toilets are, so they can pull up at East Wynyard, or they can go to 2 or 3 locations in town. So it's not a real great urgency, the toilet itself. So, yeah, agree with Councillor Courtney. It's just a good decision.
Thank you, Councillor Harland. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Roberts.
I just want to make one note of something here, and that is that just because this isn't going through now, it doesn't mean that this is not an option in the future. Our town, our region is growing massively. The provision and the rollout of all our infrastructure, especially toilets, is very controlled and strategic, and that shows the calibre of this council, that it strategically thinks about toilets. So the attention to detail is almost second to none. And while I see it's not happening now, I do think that long term in the future this could be a really viable option, and I'm sure that it'll be back on the table at some point. So I just want to make note of that for anyone that does wonder if we're ever going to do it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers regarding this motion? If there are no further speakers, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 10.3 Coastal Risk Assessment and Treatment Plan. There is a recommendation before you, councillors. 5 parts to the recommendation. Could I have a mover?
So moved.
Councillor Courtney. Could I have a seconder?
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney, would you like to open the debate, please?
I appreciate that our council officers have worked with the Surf Lifesavers to identify where we've got to have signage and where the risk areas are. I think it's great that we're going to establish a 5-year review of the process, because I personally, I live out the back of the Wynyard Airport, and I feel sick every time I hear that helicopter go up, and you know that they're going out to look for somebody in the surf. So I think it's a great thing that we're taking a proactive measure to make sure that our beaches are a lot safer, and that we're going to review that every 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Could I ask if there's anyone? Councillor Roberts.
Well, I just want to note again that, much like with the Sarah Group, myself and many people in this community have had experiences with losing friends in the water, and I think again this shows how proactive council is. You know, it's some things we cannot foresee particularly, and when we become aware of places that may be an issue, we do follow the proper channels and go through the right government departments. And to do this in partnership with Surf Lifesaving Tasmania shows that the information we're getting is of the highest calibre in this state, and it also shows that we will work with the key stakeholders to deliver some kind of options to mitigate risk for people in our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Raw.
Yes, I'd like to speak in favour of the motion, and just like to thank the Surf Lifesaving people for the depth of the report, and all aspects I agree with, all of the 5 points. But I'd just like to say that I thought that the signage one is particularly dynamic, and the signage looked very good quality. I noticed that they're going to use Australia-wide icons for that signage. But the one point they make in it is that the human interpretation of the signage can put people into very high risk categories themselves by what choices they make. So I'm hoping that within the recommendation and the 5 areas, that at some time we can have perhaps a missing warning, or there is a missing warning. We could have something on every sign that says do not swim in high winds or stormy weather. I don't think we can stop people swimming in the rain, but that's not covered in the signage, and I think it's an important point that sometimes we can expose ourselves through not taking notice of the weather and what's happening around us.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. In actual fact, the wording here, it says many beach visitors may not be aware of hazards and characteristics specific to the beaches. And living near Somerset Beach, the rip tides this year have been phenomenal. And people just swimming not within the flags, and I'm surprised that there have not been as many drownings as I predicted, because people were out there in those rips. So it is of great concern, but thank you. Are there any further speakers to this motion, please? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 10.4, Transport Infrastructure Asset Management Plan and Service Level Document Review 2024. The recommendation is the Council adopt the Transport Infrastructure Asset Management Plan 2024, adopt the Transport Infrastructure Service Level Document 2024 and rescind the Nature Strip mowing policy.
So moved.
Councillor Courtney is moving this motion.
Seconded.
Councillor Hyland is seconding. Councillor Courtney, would you like to open the debate, please?
I'd like to start by saying that we've been extremely fortunate that we have excellent asset management in our engineering section. It's an area that's lacking in a lot of councils, and it ends up costing councils a heck of a lot of money because they can't get this right. And we are very, very fortunate that we have such excellent staff in our engineering department that we are now one of the leaders in asset management. And I'd like to thank the staff for making sure that we do have service levels and they're available to the community so we can set realistic expectations and the community can look at our website and know what the expectations are that they want from council about our asset management, roads, verges, everything else. So thank you to the work that you've done in the asset management area. And as I say, we've been a very blessed council in that area, and it's great that we're actually giving expectations to our community so that we can show the level that we're going to do the servicing at, so that there's no misunderstanding between us and the community, which is what creates the angst for a lot of councils. So thank you for the staff that do the work in that area, and thank you to Finance for the work that they do in that area.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Roberts.
Again, just following on with what Councillor Courtney's saying, I want to actually give special thanks to Jonathan Linden, who works in our asset management. He does an amazing job. No one sees him because he's busy typing up all these documents, and Murray, Jamison. So he also does a lot of the technical stuff, and those gentlemen have informed us. They teach us, and they teach us about asset management. And I just think it's important that our ratepayers and our constituents understand that every single asset that is owned by this council is owned by our community, and that every single asset is important. Its level, its condition, everything is listed, everything is kept track of and noted. And again, as Councillor Courtney said, I think we are really viewed as a leader statewide in the way we maintain and care for our assets. So huge credit to Jonathan and Murray and everyone that's involved, and especially our Director of Infrastructure and Development Services over there, Daniel Summers. So thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers? Councillor Bramage.
I just got a couple of questions, if I may. The nature strip mowing means roadside verges, not our nature strips in town.
Through you, Mayor, no, the nature strip policy was for the urban roads in town.
Yes,
So,
yep. The other question is, with our roads, does sustainable timber still give us a list of where they're going to go logging and that sort of thing?
Through you, Mayor. Yeah, look, we do get a form of industry update on a rough 3-year forecast that they give, I guess, tonnages rather than specific coops, but it does give us some sort of forecast at least. So, yep.
One more, Mayor, if you allow me, is has there been any comeback from these logging companies about any damage that's done to our road? We can get back onto them to get some money for repairs?
Yeah, through Mayor, look, there are a couple of ways that could be pursued. One is through the normal avenue of rating revenue. That's a potential option. There are avenues in the Local Government Highways Act which are a little bit more difficult to implement, but they relate to extraordinary loads or use of roads beyond what would be normal use. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Summers and Councillor Bramage. Are there any further speakers, please? Councillor Hyland.
Just a couple of stats, Madam Chair, that are always very interesting for our municipality. Our staff look after 543 k's of roads, 132 bridges, and culverts with a replacement value of in excess of 240,000. So, and we have added to the list this year is extra slashing, roadside slashing, and we're taking over the rural culverts, which we haven't done before, access into properties in the rural area. And that sort of brings us to an annual expense of around about $4.5 to $5 million annually to look after all that. So, good job.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland, for those statistics. They are interesting. Are there any further speakers, please, to this motion? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 10.5, formation of a social and community activation panel. Could I have a mover?
So moved.
Councillor Courtney, seconder.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney, would you please open the debate?
I think this makes sense to defer this, given that we've got the local government review report coming back to tell us what, I guess, the roles of local councils are going to be moving forward. And as the officer's comments have stated, we've got a number of plans that are due for renewal, and we really can't go ahead and renew any of those plans or put any groups in place in a social area or a community activity area until we know going forward what the local government's role is going to be, where the state service levels and the council's responsibilities sort of differ. And I don't think until we know where that line is out of the local government review, we can go ahead and create communities, panels and committees that operate in that social and community area if we don't know what our role is in that area just yet. So I think this is a good decision to defer it.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. That was a very cohesive piece of information you provided. Councillor Roberts.
Again, just following on with what Councillor Courtney has just said, community in our country is currently under review in pretty much every aspect. Childcare is currently reviewed, the role of early childhood educators. Disability in this country is currently under review. Local government is under review. The welfare system is under review. So the decision to defer this isn't because we're not interested in the space of social or community. It's because right now no one in the country probably knows what their role is and what the future is in regards to social and community. I would hope that, as always, I hope that our council would be innovative in this area. And again, much like with a few items tonight on the agenda, I don't think this is the end of it. I think this is just us really erring on the side of knowledge of what information we can have right now. And to be honest, I don't think it'd be a great use of resources for council to go and put documents together that we don't even know will be relevant in a month or so. I think once they look at childcare, once disabilities looked at, once the welfare systems look at universal basic income, a lot of the directions this country is going in, I think that we as a council would have a lot firmer idea of what our role is to play in that. So that is the reason for this deferral. It's not because no one up here cares socially about people or cares about our community. It's just that we want to make the right calls on everything that affects people. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers to this motion? Councillor Raw.
Yeah. Look, I'd just like to say, even though I agree with the motion and will support the motion, that we keep an eye on this space. And while it's been transpired out as looking at health and wellbeing and youth and age-friendly policies and documents and things like that, that maybe Robin Crabbe was looking further than that. And I think her motion at the AGM on 2022 around community consultation and this one in 2023 is actually big picture work on how to work with community. And so I just hope that when the documents come back or whatever in what we have to work with from the review, that we'll be straight back into this space, not just thinking about those three areas, the health and wellbeing, youth and age-friendly, but we're looking overarching on how we can work best with our community.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Are there any further speakers? If there are no further speakers, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 10.6 is the quarterly report, Infrastructure and Development Services. The recommendation is that Council note the quarterly information report for the Infrastructure and Development Services Department as of the 30th of April 2024. Could I have a
So
mover?
moved.
Councillor Courtney.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts seconded. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to speak to this motion, please?
Not necessarily speak to the motion because obviously it's just noting a report. However, when I got to page 61, there was information about heavy vehicle, which made me go, oh, that's right, Daniel, Acting General Manager Summers, how are we going with getting our fair share of heavy vehicle tax?
Through you, Mayor, thanks for the question. Look, it remains an area that we're keenly interested in. I know it has appeared through the role of local government review as one of the recommendations to be looked at, so that's encouraging. I'm certain Legat continue to push it on our behalf and all councils' behalf, but I guess with the current state government, we haven't seen any change yet.
Thank you, Mr. Summers. Are there any further comments? Councillor Roberts.
As always, at every meeting, I genuinely cannot recommend enough for our public to actually go and look at these reports. You know, while some people might think there's jargon in there or just numbers or whatever, these reports literally tell our community everything about everything with our community, and everything is noted. It has our animal control stuff in here. It has our planning approvals, our subdivisions, our number of building approvals, the valuations of the buildings. It has everything. It has photos of every single project we have completed. It has every single listing of every single project in our municipal region that is ongoing. So quite often as councillors, quite often our staff get asked questions about what we're up to or what we're doing in this space or what's happening here or there. I can assure pretty much all members of the public that should they read these reports, they are so comprehensive that there is not anything they cannot find that council is up to. So I just cannot stress enough to the public to look at them. The photos give a great idea of what the project is and where it is exactly, and I just really want people involved in the future of our region, and that's a great way to do it, is to be able to provide feedback on the projects that we're currently completing. So again, the staff's work in compiling these reports is absolutely comprehensive, and it's a mammoth effort, and I want to credit them for the great work they do because it makes us look good sometimes. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Thank you, Councillor Courtney, for bringing up about the road tax. It is one that certainly the West Coast has been pushing for a long time, and certainly other councils are following suit in our Cradle Coast region. I think that it's not a priority, obviously, for any of our politicians at the moment, so it's up to us to push a bit further. Councillor Hyland.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. Once again, it's obviously a good detailed report, but what I just wanted to raise, FOGO has arrived, or is arriving at the end of the month, and councillors and some community members were treated to a bus tour of Dalverton to have a look around and see what they do with the waste up there, and very interesting, but I suppose first thought is it's a humongous mound of rubbish, that's all you see, but when we got down the other side there's a multi-million-dollar shiny building hidden in the trees which is going to deal with all the FOGO waste, and when they gave us a little bit of an indication of what else they're going to take into that facility to deal with, and it's obviously a lot of forethought gone into this over many years. They're going to take like hospital waste, all types of fish waste, all the leftovers from abattoirs, anything you could think of that nobody obviously would thought of what the hell we're going to do with it is going to go into that building, and there's, I don't know whether it was kilometres of ducting, Gary, but it's just nothing will escape out of that building, and it ends up in the final part of it ends up in underneath a box of sawdust or whatever, where it just cannot escape. So it's really an eye-opener, and certainly a good project. So yeah, thanks for those that organised it.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Yes, it was a very worthwhile trip. Any further speakers, please, to this motion? If there are no further speakers, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 10.7 Cradle Coast Authority Annual Plan Progress Report. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, to note this report, this progress report. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councillor Courtney. Could I have a seconder?
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to make comment, open a debate?
Again, we're only noting a report. However, I did note that the Cradle Coast Board is saying in this report that they're working on their next strategic plan. I have requested that we look at a feasibility study into putting the same software across the 11 councils that are part of the CCA, so that our employees are more transferable and it saves us money on licences, user agreements, that sort of thing. I would like to just note that if they are working on their next strategic plan, I'd like to revisit my request that we look at the feasibility study for getting 11 councils together to say, okay, let's bring all of our software and make it like a Service Tasmania shopfront, so that it doesn't matter where the residents go and where the staff go, we've got the same software and the same forms across all 11 councils. So I'd like to bring that back to the table for Cradle Coast Authority as part of their new strategic plan, if I could, please, and thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. I look forward to your recommendations that possibly can come to Council and be passed on to our General Manager, who is on the board of the Cradle Coast Authority. So possibly he would be your next person that you need to make sure that this information or what you are requiring is passed on. Councillor Roberts.
Just a quick, this is a noting of a report, so I will note that. But I just really want to quickly say a huge thank you to EO Shree Vertigan of Cradle Coast Authority and the Chair, Sid Sidebottom. They do come in and meet with us. They will inform us of the projects that the Cradle Coast Authority is up to, and those guys as a regional body actually do a mountain of work. And so these things that Councillor Courtney are asking for, I'm sure long term that Cradle Coast Authority will hopefully have a bit of luck with that, and there are certain things we need to do to become better. There's areas where local government could perform better, and there's areas where it's just the system's probably a bit disjointed. And I think going forward, especially with this local government review, I think that people perhaps will see how important local government is and being at the ground level and the grassroots. And I'd say that the CCA really understand that local government has a part to play in the future of Tasmania. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers to this report, please? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 10.8 Award of Contract 816 Port Road Drainage. There is a recommendation before you, councillors, that council award the contract 816 Port Road Drainage to the Hardings Group. Could I have a mover? Councillor
Yes, so
Bramage.
moved.
Councillor Bramage has moved.
Seconded,
Councillor
Madam Chair.
Highland has seconded. Councillor Bramage, do you wish to speak to this motion, please?
Just briefly, I think any drainage we can do down there is for good. At the end of the day, there's only one road in and one road out. And we all know how that road has slipped over the years. So I think any money we can spend on drainage is cheaper than cutting a new road in. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Are there any further speakers to this motion, please? Councillor Roberts.
I just want to explain something here in the financial implications. It's an adopted budget of $123,848 to deliver this project, and the award of tender $240,996 will result in an unfavourable budget variation to deliver this project of $117,148. So when you read something like that, you could think, well, perhaps we've gone over budget, or perhaps we've spent more, or we've tendered out more than we expected. But our other projects, the variables are so positive that it's created a gap where we can actually afford to deliver these. And so it goes to show the proactive nature of our council, that if we've got issues on a list somewhere and we create a little opening of funding, we will invest it to actually improve the quality of life for our residents. We do want people to live in our region, we want people to develop in our region, and we want people paying rates in our region. So where it says the expected ongoing lifestyle cost of this new drainage asset is approximately $3,000 a year over 80 years. So we're doing things not only to, help our citizens now, but our citizens going into the future. And it even says significantly less than the cost of slip repairs that Councillor Bramich is talking about, that are estimated to be in the order of $500,000 per event. So we've actually saved, our ratepayers about $497,000 per event. So I really want to credit Mr. Summers, the whole team, everyone at council, and the guys down in the depot. And this Hardings has actually put in a lot of tenders for us, and they've actually done some pretty good work. So I'm really happy about this one, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Are there any further speakers, please? If there are no further speakers, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 10.9, the financial report for the period ended 30th of April 2024. And Council is asked to note this report. Could I have a mover for this motion, please? Councillor Highland.
Yeah, so moved, Madam Chair.
Councillor Johnson seconded the motion. Councillor Highland, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Oh, very quick, Madam Chair. It is a good report, obviously, and I just usually pick up on our cash flow statement, and always interested in that when we are required to have 5 million cash in hand to remain a sustainable council. The end of 30th of April, 9.183 million, and we're forecast June 30th, 2024, about 7.594. So excellent job, but that relies on the fact that we need to complete all our jobs prior to that date. So just a quick question to our acting general manager: do you think we're pretty close online, GM?
Yeah, thanks for you, Mayor. I believe we are. I could even offer if the Director of Corporate would like to speak as well.
Through you, Mayor. So at the moment we're forecasting to spend $19.9 million this year, which is slightly below the budget of $21.7 million. We will, in coming weeks, do a review of our proposed carry forward. So usually there are some projects that carry forward into the new year, and we'll certainly do an assessment of that, and then that will be something we incorporate into our budget estimates for 24-25. So at this stage we're expecting to spend the $19.9 million, but we'll provide an update to Council through the budget process of what that's going to look like.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you for that information. Councillor Roberts.
Look, again, it's just actually just following up on what Mr. Smith has just said over there. Council is currently tracking well against budget with a forecast favourable variance to budget of $1.02 million. That is how efficient our council is. At some point over this year, we've managed to save over $1 million that we had forecasted to spend. As is discussed, the carry forwards projects and stuff, again, we're creating avenues to complete projects that have probably been outstanding for too long. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I truly believe that we have the best general manager in local government in Tasmania by far, and I feel we're very lucky to have not only him but his senior executive management team as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. I'll pass that sentiment on to our General Manager. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 10.10 is the Senior Management Report, and Council is asked to note this monthly Senior Management Report. Could I have a mover for this particular motion, please? Councillor Courtney, seconded.
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to comment, open a debate? Okay. Anyone else wish to speak to this motion, please? Councillor Roberts.
Again, like a broken record here, to see what we are doing at a strategic senior management level. I cannot recommend enough to read these reports. The senior management report really gives a great detail of what we've done in terms of corporate, community, the meetings we've been to, the groups we've met with, pretty much everything. And our senior management just do an incredible job. We are a regional council, and I think it's fair to say that we perform outstanding by most metrics, and I believe it's fair to say that the Local Government Association of Tasmania recognises that. And to be honest, I'm very happy. I believe that we have quite capable, ambitious and innovative leadership, and I can't credit them enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Councillor Bramage.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to quickly comment on the site visit we had to Elphinstons. It's quite exciting to see what they're doing in our patch, making this army gear and all that sort of thing, and the average person wouldn't know what goes on in that big factory, and there's a lot of money being spent, and I reckon we should be proud to have it in our area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bramage. Are there any further speakers to this motion, please? If not, I will put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 10.11.1, notes of other bodies, committees, accessibility strategy working group held on the 9th of April 2024. Council has been asked to receive and note this report. Could I have a mover for this motion, please?
I'll move that motion.
Councillor Raw, could I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Deputy Mayor Edwards. Councillor Raw, do you wish to speak to this motion?
Yes, I would like to speak to the motion. I'm sure all councillors have read the notes there for this meeting, and there are comments there made in the detail, so I'd just like to make just a couple of comments about that. At the minute, the work of the Accessibility Strategy Working Group is getting the Inclusion Access Plan in place and working on that. And one of the things that seems to be a part of the meeting agenda and things like that is why we're there in the group and what our role is and how we progress the work for council. So those are the sorts of things that, as members of that group, people are coming to terms with. The plan, the Inclusion Access Plan, was written by, I believe, looking at other council plans, and so it's very much a best practice plan. The people on the group are very passionate and have personal interests in accessibility and all those sorts of things. So it's trying to marry those personal agendas with what's in the plan and how we progress forward and work for all people within our municipality that have a disability.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 10.11.2, minutes of other bodies, Sustainability and Environmental Advisory Panel held on the 16th of April. Council is asked to note the unconfirmed minutes and endorse the following recommendations from that meeting. That Council adopt the interim tree and vegetation policy and guidelines, and that Council advocate to the State Government to publish the 2024 State of the Environment report immediately following its release to Parliament.
So moved.
Councillor Courtney, could I have a seconder, please?
Seconded.
Councillor Roberts. Councillor Courtney, do you wish to speak to this?
This one I am absolutely going to speak to because, as you all know, CAP's been a little bit of a pet project of mine that I've wanted. And we've got it up and going, and we've got exceptional members, and we're doing really great. I hear that the CAP group's actually won another award, so congratulations to Mr Summers and Ms Hicks that are doing this off the side of their desk. For you, Mr Summers, through you, Madam Mayor, my understanding is the State of the Environment report is supposed to be released every 12 months. Is that correct?
Through you, Mayor, that's my belief.
And my understanding is that even though it's supposed to be released every 12 months, it hasn't been released for 14 years. Is that correct?
Through you, Mayor, I think that is accurate.
So 3 terms of Liberal government haven't developed or delivered the State of the Environment report, but we're changing major legislation, we're changing coastal land use policies and planning policies without understanding what the state of the environment is. So I am absolutely chuffed that the CAP group are so aware of what goes on in local government and state government, that they've put this forward as a motion, and I absolutely endorse it, and I encourage every councillor to endorse it as well. And I hope that the state government do release it, not redacted, as soon as they get it, so local councils can start planning based on the state of the environment and not on what we've been told for 14 years without the State of the Environment report to back up the statistics of what we're all operating on. So thank you to the CAP group for being just so on the ball. Really good of you. So please endorse this.
Thank you, Councillor Courtney. You made some very valid points. Councillor Roberts.
What Councillor Courtney said.
Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Any further speakers to this motion? No further speakers. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 10.11.3 Notes of other bodies. The Waratah Community Board meeting held on Monday the 29th of April.
So moved.
So moved. Councillor Hyland. Seconded.
Seconded.
Councillor Bramage. Councillor Hyland, do you wish to speak to this
Thank
motion?
you. Yeah, just a couple of points. We've finally got our pontoon on the lake alongside the old historic rail bridge, and it's from all reports it's been received really well. So if we and also the platform under the waterfall, and hopefully if we get a little bit of rain, it'll be well worth the trip up there. But I don't know how far away the rain is. And the next couple of projects now are the Saunders Street and the Smith Street parks. A fair bit of work to do there, and we'll be looking forward to our next major project. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hyland. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. 10.11.4 Minutes of other bodies. The Audit Panel Committee held on the 26th of March 2024. Could I have a mover for this motion? Councillor Raw.
Yes, I'd like to move that motion.
I'll second that.
Councillor Johnson. Councillor Raw, would you like to speak to this motion, please?
Yes, I would. I mean, everyone's aware that, what the audit panel does, but it's probably worth, just sharing the work that group does. So the last one on the 26th of March, which these minutes are from, they looked at the financial management of the council. They looked at the annual audit and reporting, the internal controls and risk management, legal compliance and ethics, those 4 areas. So they're quite in depth. So in the financial management, they looked at the estimates and assumptions that are made that the budget is sort of built on. So Mitchell had to talk to those. Then Mitchell talked about the process that we went through as a council to form the budget. With the annual audit and reporting, you'd be aware that that was late, very late this year. So there was no responsibility taken by the audit group there. But one thing that came out from that part of it was that asset valuations will be on the agenda for 24-25, and Mitchell did mention that he thought there were no problems there. The internal controls and risk management, they looked at the risk management policy, the risk management framework, and they discussed the risk committee. They talked about the Waratah Wynyard Council Child Services audit. And so from all those things, you see that everything that's done here at council is looked at very closely, and I can't see that that the practice can be anything but good. But I would like to say, because Mitchell's here, to acknowledge a couple of things that were said. Paul Viney, one of the audit panel members, made a comment that this is a class act, which I think we really need to acknowledge. And Steve Allen, who's the chair, made the comment that what was presented was scientific and a scientific and robust process behind all budgeting. So I think it's good to get those things acknowledged and to feel comfortable that all financial things are well in hand for Waratah Wynyard Council.
Thank you, Councillor Raw. It was the government auditors who were the problem that held up the final audit by several months, which was a breach of legislation for this council. And they did not want to take any responsibility. However, we have moved on, but it's very difficult to work with a government department when they don't have any responsibility, or say they don't have any responsibility, that they try and throw it back in our laps, and made out that it was our lack of information and whatever it was they could come up with. But anyway, we did get our final report in very, very late. Councillor Bramage.
Yeah, I just got a question here. It's possible for every councillor to come and sit in on the audit panel meeting, is that right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I thought so, thank you. I have done one and I found it very exciting.
Thank you. Yes, all councillors are welcome to attend the audit panel meetings. Are there any further speakers to this motion? If not, I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Moving on to item 11, matters proposed for consideration in the the closed meeting. Recommendation that the council resolves by an absolute majority that the matters listed below be considered in a closed meeting. Councillor Roberts has moved. Could I? Councillor Courtney seconded. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. Closure of the meeting to the public at item 12, that the council resolves by an absolute majority that going to closed meeting to consider the following matters. Could I have a move? Councillor Hyland, and Councillor Hyland moved, seconded Councillor Bramage. I put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Carried unanimously. We close this meeting at 7:31, and I thank those in the gallery for your attendance.